Hi Year 10, welcome back to your next lesson. This is week 3, lesson 2 for triple and week 4, lesson 1 for combined. And what we're looking at is gaseous exchange. So I'll do our quiz from previous lessons to begin with. So 5 questions. Name the 3 types of transport. What does an enzyme do? Where is water absorbed in the bloodstream? That's from your digestive system. What is the smallest level of organisation, and what is a leaf an example of? So pause the video, have a go and come back and mark them. So hi guys, welcome back. So checking your answers first of all, please. The 3 types of transport is diffusion, osmosis and active transport. An enzyme will speed up the rate of reaction, but it remains unchanged. Water is absorbed into the bloodstream in the large intestine. The smallest level of organisation is an organelle, and then a leaf is an example of an organ. So what we're looking at today is gaseous exchange or gas exchange. And the facts that you need to learn, these are also in your fact books, is that gas exchange happens at the alveoli. Oxygen diffuses from the lungs into the blood, and carbon dioxide moves from the blood into the lungs. The alveoli have a thin membrane, large surface area and good blood flow. And then the reasons for this is that a thin membrane means a short diffusion pathway. Large surface area allows more diffusion to occur, and a good blood supply maintains a high concentration gradient. So we're focusing on this gaseous exchange and on the alveoli. So gaseous exchange is when carbon dioxide leaves the blood and it goes into the alveoli, and then it can come and be breathed out. And then the oxygen that's breathed in goes into the bloodstream. So in gaseous exchange, the carbon dioxide moves out of the blood into the lungs, and oxygen moves from the lungs into the blood. So if you could pause the video and just sketch this out. If you've got the different colours, that would be great, because the blue represents the deoxygenated blood, so lots of carbon dioxide here, and the red is oxygenated blood, lots of oxygen. So the adaptations, the alveoli are adapted to their function. They have lots of features that is going to help them, and the ones we need to be able to explain are thin membrane, large surface area and good blood supply. So what you're going to do is pause the video and then research each adaptation and add a diagram to show how this adaptation helps with gaseous exchange. So pause the video, draw out this table, give yourself lots of space, explain how the adaptation helps and do a diagram. Thank you very much. Okay guys, so welcome back. Here is some of your answers. Now in terms of the diagram, it's going to be which diagram helps you to explain the adaptation. So if you haven't got the exact same diagram as I have, please don't worry about it. It's just to show how the adaptation helps. So the adaptations of the alveoli, the first one is a thin membrane. It's really thin walls. And what this means is that the pathway for diffusion, so the distance that the oxygen has to go from the alveoli into the blood, is really, really short. So the smaller distance these gas molecules have to travel, the quicker diffusion can be, so the more effective gaseous exchange is going to be. Large surface area, this comes up time and time again. So the alveoli, they're like lots and lots of little sacs, and what this does is it increases the surface area, and that means that there are more places for the gaseous exchange to happen. And in this diagram, you've just got in the same space, you've got a single circle, so there's not that much space where this gaseous exchange could happen. But in this one, we're taking up the same space, but you can see there are a lot more surfaces where this gaseous exchange can happen, so a large surface area really helps. And then finally, a good blood supply, and this links back to this concentration gradient. If you have a really good blood supply, what will happen is that lots and lots of this deoxygenated blood will come, and then the gaseous exchange will happen, and you can see as it changes colour there, gaseous exchange is happening. And then the oxygen-rich blood is taken away, and as that leaves, it pulls up more deoxygenated blood. So this concentration gradient, the difference between the high oxygen concentration in the lungs and the lower oxygen concentration in the bloodstream, is maintained. So it means that diffusion is constantly happening. So make sure you've got those down. If you've got, as I say, slightly different diagrams, please don't worry about it. That is absolutely fine. So those are the 3 adaptations of the alveoli. Now, applying knowledge. This again is one question that they absolutely love, and it's about applying what we've understood. So we've got here a diagram of a healthy alveoli. This is what it would normally look like, and then we've got one which has got a disease called emphysema. And what happens in emphysema is that the alveoli become damaged, and so you can see this pale pink line here. That is where gaseous exchange can happen. So you can see there's quite a difference between these two, and what happens is the person will become quite breathless, they'll be out of breath, won't be able to exercise very much. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video and explain why a person with emphysema is going to be getting more breathless or struggling for breath. And I want you to be linking it back to those adaptations that we have just spoken about. So pause the video, have a go, and then come back to mark your answers. Okay, so welcome back, guys. What we need to be able to do is explain why emphysema is going to impact gaseous exchange. So if we've got a damaged alveoli, it means we've got a smaller surface area. There is less space here for gaseous exchange to happen. So a smaller surface area means less gaseous exchange. Okay, brilliant, but we still need to go, so what? This means that less oxygen can enter the blood. Less oxygen entering the blood means the person can get out of breath. So make sure when you're explaining something, you're doing your statement. So my statement, damaged alveoli mean a smaller surface area, but then go into the so what. What does that mean? What is the impact? So the impact means less gaseous exchange. Brilliant. What's the next thing? So the next thing is that we get less oxygen. And the final thing is that means that they get out of breath. So last thing that I'm going to do, just a mini quiz. You can pop your answers down on a piece of paper. Just got 4 questions, multiple choice. See how these go in the video, and hopefully we'll get some more in. So what happens in gaseous exchange? A, oxygen moves into the lungs. B, carbon dioxide moves out of the lungs. C, oxygen leaves the body via the lungs and carbon dioxide goes into the blood. Or D, oxygen goes into the blood and carbon dioxide goes into the lungs. And the correct answer is D. So in gaseous exchange, oxygen goes into the blood and carbon dioxide goes into the lungs through the alveoli. Question 2, which of these is not an adaptation for gaseous exchange in the lungs? A, small surface area. B, thin walls. C, good blood supply. D, large surface area. So it's which isn't. So the correct answer is A, small surface area. Question 3, how does oxygen and carbon dioxide move in the lungs? By what process? A is diffusion. B, active transport. C, osmosis. D, depends on the concentration. So the way that oxygen and carbon dioxide move is A, diffusion. And then our last question, how does having a good blood supply support gaseous exchange? So A, maintains a low concentration gradient. B, maintains a high concentration gradient. C, it keeps the blood moving through the body. And D, brings oxygen to the lungs to be removed from the lungs. And the correct answer for that one is B, it maintains a high concentration gradient. A high difference between what concentration you're moving from and to. So the facts that you guys need to be able to do are these. Gas exchange happens at the alveoli. Oxygen diffuses from the lungs into the blood, and carbon dioxide moves from the blood to the lungs. The alveoli have a thin membrane, large surface area and a good blood flow. A thin membrane means a short diffusion pathway. A large surface area allows more diffusion to occur, and a good blood supply maintains a high concentration gradient. Okay guys, so that is gaseous exchange. Make sure you are learning your facts from your fact books, and I will see you on the next video.